Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Tonight, your chance to talk to Maryland's top educator. The summer has gone quickly to the dismay of some and the relief of others. School bells are now ringing. Joining us tonight is Dr. Lillian Lowry, Maryland State Superintendent of Schools. Dr. Lowry, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Last year at this time, you told me that you were in the camp when summer was nearing an end and the school bells were about to ring, that you were excited about it, ready to go.
Absolutely. In the summer, we usually spend a lot of time with family, kind of traveling to make sure that we respected all of the folks that we love. And I missed my friends, so I was ready and excited to get back and be with my friends, to see who my new teacher was going to be. And as a friend of yours and I just talked about, getting all the new things that comes with the beginning of school.
Did the joy you had as a child at the beginning of school maybe set you on this path as a teacher, educator, and superintendent?
Oh, I absolutely always loved school, and I was just very blessed, fortunate to have amazing teachers.
So, some of us, I'm probably not the only one, that as the days started to get shorter and you knew it was about time to go back to school, it was a little depressing in terms of spending time indoors as opposed to outdoors. What would you say to the kid who isn't, frankly, ready to go back indoors just yet?
Oh, well, we still have some time. And if you get home and get all your homework done and out of the way, you can enjoy a little bit of daylight time. But as it gets closer to the sun setting much earlier, it just gives them extra time to do homework. They won't feel so bad about being inside doing their homework, reading something.
Well, let's talk about what it is that they're going to be reading. The big issue with schools across the country has been the implementation of the Common Core standards. And we had the issue in Maryland last year where the new curriculum was in the process of being implemented. The old tests were still in effect, so we wound up testing kids on things that they may or may not have actually learned. Therefore, test scores went down. What are we looking at this year? Where do we stand in that process?
So because our teachers spent last year kind of building out the new curricula, they come back with a much better plan of action. They have knowledge, they have resources, they have materials. It's still going to be a stretch, which is why we have kind of rolled out an additional 2 years to give everybody time to get up to speed, but more fully implementing the standards, and we feel really good about where we are there. And also preparing to make the transition to the new assessment.
So what assessment is in place this year, and is it geared to what kids are going to be learning?
Absolutely. We are bringing on the PARC assessment, the Partnership for Assessing Readiness for College and Career. The acronym is PARC this year. Statewide, we will be giving that test, grades 3 through 8 and in high school, in English Algebra 1, English 10, and Algebra 2. So we're excited that we will have an aligned test this year, but we know that as we start a brand new test with brand new standards, we are going to see proficiency rates take a dip. Doesn't mean that the students aren't as smart as they were when they left for the summer, but it does mean that we're asking more rigor from them and more higher order thinking skills.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question for Dr. Lowry, you can give us a call. We will have the number up on the screen. You could also tweet a question. Our Twitter address is @MPT News. Let's spend a little bit of time, but not too much time, because it's been pretty well litigated, on the pros and cons of Common Core. I mean, one thing that's sort of obvious is if people move around the country a lot, which they do, it's somebody who leaves the 6th grade in Pennsylvania and shows up for grade 7 in Maryland shouldn't be too disrupted. On the other hand, you see news reports that have some sample questions from a math quiz here or there that's a little bit opaque or a little bit fuzzy. How do you see all this? So
the math concepts are those that really reach my tender spot, because math was something where a subject in which I had to focus really like with laser like focus. Because
came easily or didn't come easily?
It didn't come easily. I could read 5 books a week and be happy and write and do all those things. But math wasn't hard, but I just had to work for it. It just didn't roll off. And so we also had a lot of ways that teachers taught where that math problem had to only be solved a certain way, which was also a little frustrating for me. What the new standards allow is for us to look at many different ways of getting to the right answer. Some students are visual learners, so when they're doing fractions, they may need to see a timeline and how that timeline is disaggregated. Some may need to see a pie chart. We're teaching students many different conceptual ways to understand the mathematics behind the formulas, and I think that's a piece that I missed. I was taught to solve for this by using this formula, and sometimes I clearly understood the algorithm behind it, sometimes not so much. With this new conceptual math, we make sure that the students understand the process of the mathematics before we start giving them application formulas.
So are you saying it's more about getting to the right answer however you get there?
Right, and understanding why. Understanding the math behind it, not just kind of really following rote kinds of memorization opportunities to give the teacher what he or she believes would be the right process, but to think analytically for individualistic reasons that student has to figure out the math and understand it.
High stakes testing in general, I don't know that these tests are yet being used for teacher evaluation, but we can get into that a little bit. The idea that teachers have had concerns about part of their pay being connected to how their students do on a test, especially when the curriculum is in flux, the test is in flux, and they have some control over how the kids do, but not total control.
Right. So, and that piece is predicated on quantitative measures. We're very fortunate that in June, all of the constituents came together, the teachers' unions, the Superintendents Association, the Local Boards Association, the State Board, and the department, and signed a memorandum of understanding about building out student learning objectives. Those are quantitative measures that are built by the individual teachers in consultation with their evaluator. And they use student data, some state assessments, but any other kind of formative assessments they have to determine what areas should be targeted for individual students. So we are pleased that when we're looking at quantitative measures, teachers are starting to take ownership of that. The rubbing point, I think, with quantitative measure centers on the state assessment, and you're absolutely right. We agree with the teachers wholeheartedly. We need more time to give that assessment the first time to Maryland students, see how it performs, set the standards or the cut scores, give it a second time, which would be in school year 15-16, before we even talk about what we do with consequences with state assessments. We won't do that until year 16-17.
Now, the federal government wants you to do it at some point, right? But there was a waiver.
And we have a waiver, and we will start using those state assessments in 16-17. But what we're going to do, take the data that we have run this year using state assessments, if you would, in a simulated way, look at it again for this coming school year and the following school year. We will have 3 years worth of data that will inform us the best way to use those data in 16-17. We want to be fair to the students, and we want to be fair to the teachers that teach them.
Let me ask you about something that's become a little bit of an issue, as you may have heard recently on the campaign trail with the people running for governor of Maryland, and that is expanding pre-K education, which I think is what we used to call preschool back in the day. And you know, the issue on the political side is how much of it can the state afford at what point in time. But from an educator's perspective, what are you trying to do here?
Well, I will begin by saying that we can't afford not to. When we talk about the achievement gap walks into kindergarten. We have to make sure that 0 to 5 matters, that we are interacting with students and having them speak in complete sentences, exposing them to as much as we can in their environments so that they understand the world in which they live. They come to school knowing their alphabet, knowing their colors, knowing their numbers, so that they walk into kindergarten ready to learn. So the cost, we will have to just figure it out, and we can either move really fast if we have good years financially, but if we can't, we'll just move at the speed that we can to include as many students as we can. But it's important that 0 to 5 is addressed.
So are you focused on 4? I mean, the 5-year-olds for the most part are in kindergarten.
Right.
So the next step is
the
get
4-year-olds.
4-year-olds in the building.
Absolutely.
Should it be compulsory? Should everybody have to be there?
The reason I would love for everybody to be there is because we have high-performing students who come from environments where they've been exposed to a lot. They have really rich vocabularies, really rich experience. We think that those students interacting with students who may not have had some of the exposure lifts everyone up. It is a good learning experience for the little ones who feel like they can help each other and help others. It emboldens them and validates their learning, but it also helps those students who learn from peer to peer.
Let's talk to Dan in Worcester County. Dan, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, ma'am. Nice to finally meet you. Welcome to Maryland, by the way.
Thank you.
Sure. My interest is in something sort of like a political nature, perhaps, but the immigrant children coming from the south of the border, ma'am, are all our bases being covered when they enter our school districts, and the rules are being followed, hopefully, to protect the current kids that are in the school districts?
Dan, yeah, thanks. Good question. Thank you very much. So we have. What I've read is a few thousand of these children who've come across the border, undocumented immigrants who were in Maryland, were placed here in some sort of temporary situation, and you have to educate them. They were obligated. They deserve some sort of education. Are we ready for it?
I think Governor O'Malley got that spot on when he talked about how we would integrate those children into our communities, because most of those children who are coming into our communities are coming to families or relatives from their country, so they move into environments with people they know. And to be quite honest, without a lot of fanfare, because this has been kind of overwhelming in the past few years with the undocumented children coming over, we've been infusing these children in our schools for many years. I mean, they have been quietly coming over, living with relatives, matriculating into our schools. So we have worked with our local school superintendents. We have looked at the funding available, and we are making sure that we welcome them, but that we also don't deter or take any opportunities away from our students who are born and bred Maryland. I think just like with pre-K, we can learn from each other side by side.
Let's go out to St. Mary's County. This is Ricky. Ricky, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Lowry, for taking my question tonight. I appreciate it. Today, my child was diagnosed with dyslexia, and I was wondering, I think the IEP now is established for attention deficit disorder, but how will that change, and what should I expect in the way of support from the public school system here in St. Mary's County to adjust her IEP for dyslexia?
Ricky, thank you for the phone call. Best of luck. What was the acronym?
Dyslexia.
No, but it was an adjust her...
IEP, an individual education program.
I see.
Mm-hmm. And so the individual education program is structured through parents and teachers and specialists around that individual child's needs. And I think he said St. Mary's County, so number one, that's in his favor. He's in a really amazing county that does great work. So they will look at the accommodations needed to satisfy successful engagement for students with dyslexia, and we have lots of research on that. I'm sure St. Mary's County has professionals there who can help navigate that with the family and the child, but we certainly stand ready to help at the state in any way that we may need to do so.
Separate from the dyslexia question, we've talked about lower performing kids who need help, and the emphasis that the school system places on building them up, getting them to pass the test and do well. And for higher performing kids, we have gifted and talented programs. You wonder if we're losing focus in any way on the kids in the middle, the average student.
I will tell you, since I have been teaching, we've always talked about the kid in the middle, because there is a lot of focus on the students who have special needs, and we have accommodations for them, just as we have accommodations for our gifted and talented students. But because we now have these conceptually based standards in place, because more and more districts are moving to blended learning opportunities where we can customize students' learning through the use of technology, where we can individualize more than we've ever been able to. That middle child probably has more focus and attention and individualistic kind of experiences than they've ever had before.
We had a Twitter question related to the previous phone call. Ask Dr. Lowry why Maryland's rating was downgraded by, I'm guessing this is the Education Department, to needs assistance in special education. Is that something that happened recently?
Yes, that's a great question. This year, the United States Department of Education changed the criteria on which they base ratings for states. We were 100%. As a matter of fact, I just want to say we were 0.5 away from being in the top level, the top tier.
I hated it when they didn't round up when I was a student.
I know, and it was a 0.5. We really should have been rounded up. But that's okay, because it tells a story, and we need to have the story. We need to make sure we're taking care of all students. But we have 100% rating. There are 3 areas, and 2 of them. And where they added information about student achievement in reading and mathematics is where we took a downturn, because what we've done for years in Maryland, and we've been addressing it from Dr. Grasmick to Dr. Sadusky when he was in, and then now with me, when we give something called the National Assessment of Educational Progress, it's called NAEP, or the Nation's Report Card. It is a sampling of each state. It is the only assessment where we can compare state to state. We take samplings. We have, as a father called in about his child's IEP, the Individual Education Program, accommodations for students. And in Maryland, we have a read aloud accommodation. And so if that's the way we teach the child, that's the way we assess the child. NAEP does not allow for the read aloud accommodation. So we exclude those children who cannot have that accommodation, and we got our hands slapped for excluding those children. They want every child to take the test. So what we will do is, instead of excluding kids who have the read aloud accommodation, is test every child and talk with parents individually, still work with them in the IEP team to make sure that's the right fit for their child. If it's not, then we'll have another conversation. But it was really based on the standardized assessment that is a national benchmark.
Let's talk to Wayne in Wycomico County. Wayne, sir, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for answering my call. My question is, I am a disabled veteran and I'm a senior citizen, and I had recently in April registered my children for PK3 because I have custody of them, and I was denied because of my income level. What can I do other than wait until they get returned old enough to get into first grade?
So Wayne, they said the income level was too high, too low?
Yes.
Which one?
My VA, I get my veterans disability and my Social Security together.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for the phone call.
Thank you. That goes back to the question that you asked earlier about the expansion of pre-K opportunities. And we have to do what we can afford in a very deliberate way. We don't want to overextend ourselves. So we have to have a cutoff score, and we use the federal guidelines for poverty to determine what students we will take in. I will tell you, last year in the governor's budget approved by the General Assembly, we did expand the number of students. So we're working on that, and the good news is that most of the people who are in government running for any office are on board with expanding pre-K. So that doesn't help the gentleman's immediate problem, but we are trying to expand the numbers of students that we can take in pre-K. This year alone, through the governor's recommended budget that was approved by the General Assembly, we added 1,600 seats.
What should the, in pre-K, preschool education, the people who are doing it now, running your church nursery school, your co-op preschool, how should they think about what you'd like to do?
We have a great relationship with our private vendors and child care providers. Dr. Rolf Groff-Wallner leads our Office of Early Childhood Development, and he has built phenomenal relationships with them. We have quality rating systems in which our private caretakers participate. We want everyone to have a quality program, so we include them in making sure they have grant opportunities to ensure that their staff is getting as much education to be as good as they possibly can be, and the quality rating systems are online so parents can make good choices. Great relationship. We have great public-private partnerships across the state.
How do you feel about Comptroller Peter Franchot has been circulating a petition that schools shouldn't start until after Labor Day, the way it used to be. Why can't that be the case? What are the issues with it?
So that is the case. Schools can start after Labor Day, but the way we look at the law now,
I think there's only one county in the state, right?
Worcester started this year, but we're leaving that. We think that's a local decision, and Worcester came on board because that's what their community really advocated for the school system to do. Every school district in the state has the flexibility to start school as long as they meet the required number of days in state law. They can start at any point in time they want to. We have some districts that are really high-performing districts, and starting after Labor Day would be time for family to travel and do other fun activities that are learning activities. But we have some school districts that really do address special needs and challenge students, and the more time they have away from learning, the gap really does put them back.
Backsliding over the summer.
It causes them a summer loss of learning, absolutely. Yeah. And those districts want those students to have as much on-task time as possible. We like to leave the choice to the local jurisdictions.
Let's go out to Wycomico County. This is Bonnie. Bonnie, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I am teaching a group of 3 children how to write their name. They're in the 6th grade and they don't know how to write their name. Why is this happening?
Well, that is certainly a question, if you don't mind, that we can ask at the local level. I believe that that shouldn't be the case unless those students have some kind of special needs or disabilities and they don't pick up, or their fine motor skills aren't as advanced as they should have been when they were earlier on in school, and so at this point they're ready to do that. I will certainly take the question back.
That actually brings me to something I wanted to bring up with you, which is to talk a little bit about the role of parents. And parents, grandparents may be watching us tonight, probably very few school kids, but what do you want them to know about the importance of their role in having their student ready to learn and going in with the right attitude about the advantages, the potential outcomes of doing a good job in school?
Well, the 3 children to whom she referred are very fortunate to have her in their lives and helping that summer learning loss not occur and advancing them. We have to have support, and we're not asking parents to teach math or science or English language arts. We're just asking parents to consistently get the message to their children that learning is important. Their jobs are to go to school, engage in the teaching and learning, and be the very best that they can be. That is such a support to the teachers in the classroom, and is such a validation to students about the priorities that they should set as they traverse through pre-K through 12. And
I'm guessing that parental involvement may be a factor in, there's an issue that public television, Maryland Public Television is involved in a program called The American Graduate, and that is the dropout problem in high schools. Maybe talk a little, if you would, about the trends that we're seeing on that subject in Maryland.
Thank you. We're doing so much better in Maryland year over year over year. If one would look at a 10 or 15 year spread, Maryland has continuously been on the upward trajectory, and the percentage of students graduating from high school, I think the public at large knows that nationally that number is up, and Maryland contributes mightily to that number. And for the first time in years, if not ever, we have a single-digit dropout rate. It was just below 10%. It was a little over 9%. That is brand new. So that means when that dropout dropout rates going down, the graduation rates going up, and it's because of the creative, inclusive, visionary work that's going on in our districts and schools every day.
Very good. Dr. Lillian Lowry is Maryland State Superintendent of Schools. Always fun talking with you. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you. Have a great school year.
Sounds like a plan. And that is our program for this week. We remind you to join us on Thursday night for Your Money and Business. And then we're back on Friday with State Circle and the latest in Maryland politics. Now, for all of us here at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.